What's up, guys? It's Dan here, and I know I have not made a video in a while. I've been pretty busy with starting a new travel assignment and purchasing a new house and filling old vacancies from the places that I used to live. But you know, I'm gonna try and make videos more consistently, but I just wanted to make another video because I just filled a vacancy at a previous duplex that I was living in. I was living on one side, renting out the other. I just filled the vacancy, rented it for way more than I thought I was going to. Honestly, I should have charged more for rent, but that's another video for another time. I wanted to make a video to explain what I thought was the best way for somebody who is a nurse or even a surgical tech or nursing assistant, the best way for somebody in that position to become financially free or set yourself ahead like 5 to 10 years on your financial freedom horizon and just set yourself up for life success in general. Because I've been trying to think about this I try to give advice to a bunch of surgical techs and traveling nurses and just nurses in general who I work with from hospital to hospital. And I think that this is the best way to do it, the steps I'm about to say. So I'm just gonna rattle off a bunch of facts that I think that are super relevant to the discussion, and hopefully you guys find some value in this. Just kind of felt inspired and wanted to make a video on my way to another property. So I think that step one, what you should do, and this is especially true if you are in a populated area like the DMV area, there's hundreds of hospitals in the area that you can travel nurse at. There's always assignments available. I think that, okay, I'm going to give you some tangible steps. One, you should start travel nursing if you are in a nursing role right now, because in the DMV area, the average salary for like a traveling nurse is like, I think it's like $60,000, $70,000 a year. So I think that ends up being like somewhere around $35 an hour. All of my friends, especially as new grads or newer graduated nurses, are making around $30 to the $35 an hour range. And that's a lot of money for some people, but after you have about a year of experience, you can exponentially grow that from, especially right now, $30 to $35 an hour, all the way up to like $85, $100, $130 an hour, which is what I've been making for most of my assignments recently. So if that can set you ahead years, if you like 5 years, if you go from 35 all the way up to $100, $130 an hour, and that can, just doing that for a year straight, working really hard, will set you ahead like 5 years, because that's like 5 times what you're making. So that's number one. And you don't necessarily have to do that as a quote-unquote traveler. You can do that local travel. Sure, you'll be taxed more because you won't be having housing stipends, but you will be making way more money. And even though you'll be taxed more, you can mitigate that by the next tip that I'm about to tell you, is to start house hacking and eliminate your housing expenses so that you can save up more money. And as you guys know, real estate has been appreciating like crazy the past couple years. And another thing that I want to let you know is that most people's biggest expense is their housing expense. It's either their rent or their mortgage. And so if you can eliminate that from your monthly expenses, then you can set yourself so much further ahead of every other person out there in terms of getting ahead financially and setting yourself up on a firm financial foundation and base for your future. So second step is to start house hacking. This is not going to be as readily available for everyone. I can already understand that people are going to be like, oh, I have kids, I have a wife who's not going to be up for that. I have my husband, he likes the space, whatever the case may be. But there are versions of house hacking that you can do. What I did personally when I first started was bought a house next to the hospital that had 4 bedrooms. I lived in one of the bedrooms and rented out all the other 3 upstairs, and I was basically making $1,000 a month over the mortgage for living in my own home. So I was getting paid to live in my house. And that was good for me because I was single at the time. But say you're in a relationship or you have kids and you don't necessarily want to room with the people, share a kitchen, share a common living area with them. Well, you can also buy a duplex that basically is two separated units. Yes, that's going to be harder to find. Yes, that's going to be a little bit more expensive, but you can mitigate your living expenses, especially in an expensive area. You know, if the average rental rate, and you'll be paying down equity in the house, and your house is going to be appreciating like crazy, like it has been for the past 2 years, when everybody said, oh, it's been appreciating like crazy, the housing market's going to crash again, it happens every 10 years. Well, if you would have waited this entire time and not bought any houses, then you wouldn't have had all that appreciation. But you can do it that way and buy a duplex instead of renting out rooms in the house. It's not going to be as financially cash flowing as like my kind of a deal was, like where I was renting out 3 of the bedrooms, because bedroom rentals are almost always going to cash flow more, but you can have a little bit more comfort. It's going to be how much comfort do you want and how much cash flow do you want to make. So you're going to have to give up a little bit of comfort to make more cash flow, or you're going to have to give up a little bit more cash flow to have a little more comfort. So buy a duplex. You can buy a duplex, rent out one side, then you and your family don't have to share a common living space with one another. It'll just be like an apartment complex situation. So that's step number 2, house hack. Eliminate your housing expense. And if you can do that simultaneously while travel nursing, you can, 1, make a crap ton more money, and 2, there are a lot of tax breaks that are involved in real estate investing. I'm going through that right now where I'm doing my taxes, and almost everything you do is tax deductible. Every expense that you have for the house, like say the other side of, if you're in a rental situation, you're renting out rooms in a house, and you know you have to replace the dishwasher, replace an appliance, make a repair, all of that is tax deductible, and you can depreciate your house, which is also a deduction against like your W-2 income. So all of that is super beneficial in terms of limiting your tax liability come tax time when you're a traveling nurse and making a crap ton of money, especially if you're not true traveling and doing local travel. So that's the combo of steps number 1 and 2. And then third step is to just repeat that process. If you can repeat that once a year, like I've been doing basically, it starts to get exponential. So you can exponentially increase your wealth, increase your income. Because say you're living in that duplex or you're living in that roommate rental situation, and then after a year, you can do an owner-occupant loan one time each year, which allows you to put less than the 20% down, because 20% down is a lot for some people to do. But if you can do this once a year, you can put as low as 3.5% down for an FHA loan. And if you want to buy a $300,000 house, I mean, that's only that's like $10,000, as opposed to if you had to put 20% down for that house, that would be $60,000. So it's $10,000 instead of $60,000. So do that once every single year. You move out of your old place, you rent out the apartment where you were living before. Now you're making a lot more cash flow on that house. Rental rates have probably appreciated, your house is probably appreciated, and then it just starts to get easier and easier, because all of your property values are going up, rental rates are going up, and you're getting more properties and more properties and more properties, and then eventually you'll get to get 2 properties a year, and you'll get to get 3 properties a year, and then you'll start making so much cash flow, you'll have all this money coming in, and then you'll finally be able to have a property manager manage it for you, because you'll probably get to a point where you don't, I mean, depending on who you are, like I don't actually mind managing the properties that much. I kind of enjoy providing a good place for my tenants and saving the money on property management, but I'll probably get to a point, and you will too, where you'll have a property manager take over. And so that's my recommendation for somebody who wants to get ahead the absolute fastest financially, and who is also in the nursing profession, or honestly in the healthcare profession. They're sort of traveling like locum tenens for PAs and doctors and stuff like that, for everyone. But I think that that's the best way to get ahead in 2021. I don't want to make this video too long. I know I tend to be long-winded. There's probably, like, if you have any questions about what I just said and what I just recommended, I think that you feel free to ask them in the comment section. I am pretty responsive. I almost respond the same day to most of the comments in the comment section, and I really want to give advice to other traveling nurses, other nurses, other healthcare professionals out there. I find a lot of satisfaction and it brings me a lot of joy to like help other people, because real estate and travel nursing has changed my life and been so good to me. So I'm about to start getting into a more trafficy area here, so I'm going to cut the video short, but I really appreciate all of the support and all of the subscribers. I want to keep providing value to all of you, so I'm just going to keep trying to provide as much advice as possible. And so let me know if you have any other questions or any other things you would like me to expand on, and I'd be happy to make a video about it. So without further ado, I'll end the video now. Please like the video, subscribe, and I will talk to you again soon. Thanks, guys.